Hi, my name is Alyssa-Marie Acidera, and today I will be teaching you the bones in the forearm, wrist, and hands. Cut! That was good.
To begin, I want to start off with the ulna, which is located on the pinky side of the forearm. I like to go over both processes, the olecranon process and the conoid process. And in simpler terms, process means projection. And as we can see here, both the olecranon process and conoid process project off the ulna. And if you remember from before, both processes would fit into the olecranon fossa and conoid fossa of the humerus. Next, I like to cover both notches found on the ulna, which is the trochlear notch and the radial notch. And notch basically translates to depression or indentation of the bone. And here we have the trochlear notch, where the trochlea of the humerus fit into here, like a puzzle piece. And with the radial notch, it has an indentation for the head of the radius to fit into the ulna. Moving down, I want to start with the head of the ulna and the styloid process of the ulna. And to remember styloid process of the ulna, we can think of the word stilettos, like heels. And since this bone looks like a heel, that just helped to remember that this is a styloid process of the ulna. And lastly, we have the body of ulna. Moving to the radius, we have the head of the radius, neck of radius, and radial tuberosity. And tuberosity basically translates to projection as well. And if we were to feel the bone in real life, we'd be able to feel the projection off the radius. And moving down, we also have the ulnar notch for the head of the ulna to fit into. So many people might get this confused, but basically the ulna has a radial notch for the head of the radius, and the radius has the ulnar notch for the head of the ulna to fit into. And like the ulna, we have the styloid process of the radius, and this again looks like a stiletto heel. So styloid, stiletto sound similar. Then like the ulna, we have the body of radius. To start off with the bones in the wrist, we want to start laterally. So here I'm going to mirror my hand towards the bone in the book. We want to start laterally and work towards the middle, or we can work medially. So lateral means farther and medial means towards the middle. So starting with scaphoid, we have the scaphoid, lunate, triquetrum, pisiform, trapezium, trapezoid, capitate, and hamate. Now, a funny way that I was taught to remember these words in my anatomy class was this acronym, which is some lovers try positions that they can't handle. And here I mirrored the actual words or scientific terms for this acronym to help me remember the bones in the wrist. So the last thing I want to end with is the bones in the hands. But before I do start, we want to recognize that there are only 3 bones in the thumb, while there are 4 bones in the pointer, middle, ring finger, and pinky. Alright, so starting with the metacarpals, the way that I remember metacarpals is that meta does rhyme with mega, and mega does mean big, and these are the bigger bones in the palm of your hands. And carpal, meaning wrist, the metacarpals are attached to the wrist. So the bigger bones attached to the wrist. Next, we want to go over the proximal phalanges. And proximal does translate to the bones closer to the point of attachment. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Next, we have middle phalanges, and like I said before, there are only 3 bones in the thumb, so we do not have a middle phalanx in the thumb. So we have only 4 phalanges, so 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Lastly, we have the distal phalanges, and the thumb does have a distal phalanx, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now, phalanges is the plural term for phalanx, where phalanx is singular. So the way that we would approach these bones, if we were to be, if we needed to identify the individual bone itself, So starting with metacarpal, we would identify it as metacarpal 1, metacarpal 2, 3, 4, and 5. Then next we have proximal phalanges. For the individual and singular term, we would say proximal phalanx 1, proximal phalanx 2, 3, and 4, and 5, so on and so forth. Next we have the middle phalanges, so singular, we have middle phalanx 2, since there is no 1. We have middle phalanx 2, 3, 4, and 5. Then lastly, we have the distal phalanges, so distal phalanx 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 5. I hope that helped. See ya!